Welcome everybody to a brand new video. In today's video, I want to discuss the new Logic album that recently dropped, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. I'm a pretty big fan of Logic. I like a lot of his music, and this was one of the albums from him that I was actually really looking forward to. I was definitely hoping that Logic would pull through with something interesting on this album, something that I would enjoy, and hopefully it would bring me back to the days of when he was first releasing albums that were really meaningful in hip-hop, such as Under Pressure, Young Sinatra Undeniable, etc. With Logic's past few records, I haven't exactly been anticipating them that much. I would just find out that they were out and then maybe listen to them, and majority of the time I didn't really like it that much. I would say he's been very hit or miss lately with his project. And so I was excited for Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. I thought that this was going to be an ambitious project from Logic. I thought he was going to pull through with something really enjoyable here, because just simply the premise of this album's title, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, it sounds alluring and I was really looking forward to it. But unfortunately, I find that there are way more misses on this album. Overall, I wasn't very satisfied with this project. But anyway, let's get into the things that I did enjoy. First of all, some of the tracks that I liked. Homicide featuring Eminem. I thought that was a fantastic song. I still listen to it. I think it's really great. I thought Logic pulled through with some really nice verses. Eminem did the exact same. I personally prefer Eminem on this track. However, Logic definitely kept up and did really well in my opinion. The second track that I like is Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, the title track. I actually really liked the approach that he took on this track, where he's sort of just venting, not in an aggressive way, but he's just sort of letting things off of his chest with a nice jazz tune in the background. I thought it was very nice, and it was a nice kiss to the start of the album. The next track, Wannabe, is okay. I wouldn't say it's a great song. However, I see it more as an interlude. I wouldn't exactly say this is a full-fledged song, but one thing I really like about this interlude, in the way that I see it, is one of the lines at the beginning where a question is asked, how much does fame weigh? And the answer is a gram. I liked that play on words right there, because obviously they're talking about a Grammy, and you know, a lot of people base their success and their fame when it comes to music on how many Grammys they have, and I totally understand where he's coming from on this track. Unfortunately, the next song, Clickbait, is the first song on the album that I don't really enjoy. I find that Logic comes through with a very generic flow. His singing is mediocre at best. It's honestly very annoying, if I'm gonna be honest. I can tell that Logic is having fun with this track, but to me, it just doesn't work. I don't enjoy it. It's just not a good track for me. Now, the next track, Mama/Show Love featuring YBN Cordae. I don't know who this artist is, forgive me. This track is my favorite on the album. I think it is absolutely fantastic. I love the way Logic comes out with this really hard beat, really spitting these rhymes, and he's morphing his voice in different ways and manipulating it, and I'm a huge fan of that. I think it sounds really great. It's borderline experimental, and I think it goes really well. However, after this, it's just downhill. There are so many bad tracks that I don't enjoy that just come in sequence, one after another. It completely kills this entire album experience, as there are so many misses here that I just simply can't stand. The song Out of Sight is this incredibly forgettable song with this super generic hook that I can't get with. It's so boring. There's nothing interesting. The flow is generic. The beat is like a billion other beats that Logic has used on his previous songs. The next song, Pardon My Ego, is a little bit better than Out of Sight. It's an okay song, but again, there are things that I don't like about this track, specifically Logic's flow. I'm not a big fan of Logic's flow when he is explaining lyrics like this, where he just sounds choppy, and I just don't like it. It doesn't sound good. It's honestly Logic's staccato flow that Eminem has been using recently. The beat is okay, but it's nothing to die for, nothing very interesting. The next song, Commando, featuring G-Eazy, again, another incredibly forgettable song. The beat is just generic. Logic sounds like he doesn't even know what to rap about. He's just going off of what is on his head. And G G-Eazy does not pull out anything interesting. I saw G-Eazy on the track list and I was thinking to myself, hey, maybe I'll give him a chance. But no, G-Eazy doesn't do anything for this song. It doesn't sound good at all. Just no, I don't like this song. But as much as I didn't like those songs, what's up next is probably the worst track on the entire album. Icy featuring Gucci Mane. This song is completely unlistenable. I cannot stand this. In fact, when I was listening to this album on repeat just to get my thoughts on it, I just couldn't listen to it. It was a skip every single time. I've probably listened to this album like 5 times in total, and every single time this song comes up, I skip it. It is unlistenable. I hate it. It is easily the worst track on this album, and in my opinion, the worst song Logic has ever made. It is that bad. The next song, Still Ballin', is another okay to mediocre track where Logic comes out with another sort of generic flow that he's been doing so much on this album, with another beat that sounds so similar to the rest, and Wiz Khalifa doesn't really offer much to make the song that much better. Again, another forgettable song that I just can't get with. The following track, Cocaine, unfortunately suffers from a lot of the flaws that the other tracks have been going through as well. This song has no substance, it's forgettable again, and the hook is just so annoying. Cocaine, 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 male. It's like Logic is just uninspired. He just doesn't know what to rap about, so he's just talking about random drugs, and he has become the very thing he used to rap about disliking in hip-hop. It's really disappointing. The next song, Limitless, is a little bit more of an enjoyable song. There are some parts where I like Logic's flow, and his singing voice is actually not too bad. It's actually kind of an enjoyable song. Unfortunately, the beat is, again, very generic, but I can look past that because of Logic's delivery, and overall, it's an enjoyable track. Up next is Keanu Reeves, and I know that this is going to be controversial, but I'm not a huge fan of this song. I, again, think it's just another one of those turn-up songs that Logic is making that completely belongs on Bobby Tarantino 2, and it doesn't work for me, man. The beat, again, sounds like every other song on this album, and Logic is just rapping for the sake of rapping. No substance. He's not talking about anything that is very interesting. He's just rapping and rapping for no reason, just trying to flow, and it doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. Don't Be Afraid to Be Different is interesting because I like the sort of callback back to 80s and 90s rap, especially with Will Smith being featured on the track, but regardless of the nostalgia and listening to this track with that bias, I still don't find it very interesting. It's not something that I'm going to be putting in one of my playlists to listen to over and over again. I don't like it. I don't think Will Smith offers much on this track, and same with Logic. I feel like his substance just isn't there. After that, we have Bobby featuring My Dad, which is another unlistenable song that I just skip every single time it comes up in the album. It's not as bad as Icy, but I just wonder, what is Logic doing? What type of sound is he trying to go for? This is a complete switch up, and it doesn't sound appealing at all. This track is goofy and corny, just like a lot of the rest of this album, and with a track that features his dad, I was expecting a lot more. The last track on the album, Lost in Translation, thankfully leaves us on a good note. I actually think this is one of the better tracks on the album. I like the beat, I like the sort of jazzy, playful tone that it delivers, and Logic's flow is very nice. I'm a huge fan of the production on this song, the way once in a while Logic will manipulate his voice in different ways to make it sound better with the beat. I think it was a good call on his part to end the album on this note, and not on any other bad song that popped up on the track list. That's the entire album right there. Overall, very disappointed. I did not think this was a good project at all. I understand that most likely this was a project for Logic to just sort of vent and have fun with it, and so I respect that. There's nothing wrong with him releasing music that he's proud of, but if I want to be honest and I want to stay true to my own opinion, it just didn't really work for me. My favorite tracks on the project as a whole are Homicide, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Mama/Show Love, IC featuring Gucci. I'm only kidding. Fucking hell, that song is bad. Limitless and Lost in Translation. If I were to rate this album, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. I enjoyed some little snippets, but the majority of it is just not enjoyable, and I don't see myself coming back to a lot of these songs in the future. To wrap up this video, now that I've given you my thoughts on the album, I want to talk about why I think Logic released such a disappointing album. And in my opinion, it's because he doesn't have much direction. I don't feel like he's come across a sound that really defines him, and I feel like he was just sort of lazy on this project, that he doesn't have anything to work towards. Obviously, when he released Under Pressure and his classic albums, he had something to work towards. He was trying to get out of the situation that he was in. He was hungry for success, but now that he has it, what's the point in even working anymore? The man has more money than he'll probably ever need. He probably knows what to do with his money and how to invest it and create wealth for himself in the future down the line. So what's the point in him continuing to make good music if he already has everything? That's the sort of mentality that I feel he took towards this project. He's just not hungry. He doesn't have any motivation. This album is almost like Logic's Revival, but just not as bad as Revival. I hope Logic finds some sort of motivation inside of himself to create better music in the future, but for now, this is what we're stuck with. Those are pretty much all my thoughts. I'm gonna wrap this video up here. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you smack the like button. If you want to stay up to date with my content, please be sure to subscribe. I'll have my last video in the corner. If you haven't checked that out already, definitely make sure to check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.